This is Good Morning Mumbai with Rishi K.
I'm pleased to welcome the legend himself, Talat Aziz Saab, into studio. It's such an honor, such a privilege to talk to you for the very first time, and I'm very, very pleased to have met you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Rishi. And firstly, I would like to ask you, what's you just announced that your name is Rishi K. Is it Rishikesh by any chance?
Actually, the full name is Rishikesh Kannan.
See,
So in the south, you know that we keep initials.
I know that. I know that. I have a lot of people in the south who are my fans. In fact, when you just mentioned the south, let me give you a bit of a update. I'm having this concert on the 14th for celebrating my 40 years. So I have got fans flying in from all over the country as well as the world, and there is a group which is coming from Kochi, Kozhikode, not Kochi, sorry, Kerala, Kozhikode,
Yeah, of course, yes.
and I have a huge fan following there, and they are flying in. They've bought the tickets online. They said we are coming, and they've reserved the first row seats or something like that.
So, 40 years of Talat Aziz, and I have to take you back to the first ever gig. Do you remember when you got on stage for the first time?
Yes. No, I'll give you the background. 1988th of February, my debut album was launched here in Mumbai, and Jagjit Singh composed that at my request, and he was presented me. In those days we didn't have any CDs. It was a long play record. Long play turntable pe aap bajate the, and then we had the launch, and frankly speaking, there was no marketing as such. Really, not a single newspaper ad. It wasn't. It was just you just made the long play record, kept it in the record stores in the window. People walked in. Which is the latest? Oh, this one. Let me hear it. Okay, I like it. Take it.
I can even picture it in Rhythm House with Mahmood putting it up there.
Rhythm House, before Rhythm House, and there was another store very famous on Sir PM Road called PM Records.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right next to the HMV office, old office.
Yeah.
And so anyway, you're talking about my first gig.
Yeah.
Now I forgot about this because it was a different time in era. How do I explain to today's age? And I was recording a song for Lakshmikant Pyarelal for a film song in May. Before that, I got a call from a group from Calcutta, a young friends, something, young kids. In those days, I mean now they're no longer young. And they said, we want to book you for a show in Calcutta in an auditorium. I said, wow, my first paid gig, as you call it, professionally. So I said, first of all, by the way, how did you, we heard your album is just released, it's very nice. So that's how I got to know that album is Kaise Sukoon Pao and all that is becoming popular. So I went there for a princely sum, I can reveal it now, of 5,000 rupees, which was a very big thing. Very big thing. I said, wow, 5,000 rupees I'm being paid to sing. Anyway, so I flew down to Calcutta, and then I still have some pictures somewhere. And these kids, not kids, young men, and they had this club, and then I performed there. And that was my first public performance as a professional.
Beautiful, beautiful. 40 years, and the Opera House really, to me, is the ideal place to celebrate 40 years of Talat Aziz. Simply because, it's a heritage monument. It's been done so beautifully. And,
So am I.
Oh, Jagjit Saab, God bless his soul. I remember doing an interview with him. He refused to come. He said, "Hum utni dur nahi aayenge." And he called me to Ajivasan, which is the studio.
Yeah, I know, Suresh.
Suresh Wadkar. And I know that, he was such a brother to you. So
He's
I can see that sense of humor that you and him must have enjoyed.
I tell you, Jagjit Singh Saab, he was like an elder brother to me, literally, and people might not think of that. But I met him in 75, before his long play record also came out, that one, Unforgettables. He had come to Hyderabad for a concert, and I was in Hyderabad, I was in a college. And I still remember my father, Azim Khan, was very famous in Hyderabad because he was a patron of fine arts. He used to, help a lot of young artists, and, he was very, very fond of this. So he took me to Ravindra Bharati, that was a theatre, it's still there, in the afternoon. And Mrs. Jagjit Singh was rehearsing something, and there was a audio visual going on. No, not visual, sorry, there was no visuals, audio. Brij Bhushan commentary and blah, 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 blah. And I walked in the aisles, and then Mr. Jagjit Singh was coming in the aisles at afternoon time. So the organizer introduced my father. This is Mr. Azim Khan Sahab, and he's blah, blah, blah. And very nice meeting. And then he asked me, "What do you do?" So my father said he also sings. Oh, why don't you come and sing tonight? That was the first word. I said, no, I can't do that. I look at him, he was just joking, and I took it seriously. So I said, you know what? How long are you here? He said, wait, till tomorrow. So I said, why don't you come and have dinner with me tomorrow at our house? He said, no, we can't because we are going back by train. Tomorrow night is a train. Those days you used to travel by train also. Remember this? Those times, long time back. So I said, then how about lunch? He said, okay, lunch is fine. So I said, done. Tomorrow, lunch at my house. So I told my mother, just have lunch, call a few people, and we'll have Mr. Jagdish Singh and Chitra Singh ji to come to the house, and we'll have a nice lunch, and then I will sing for you. So, cut to, I'm using film language, cut to, I'm there, he comes in, a lot of guests are over there, so we sit down, and I had a harmonium which was really huge, big one. It took two people to lift it. So first thing Jagdish Singh Saab says, ये हारमोनियम किसका है भाई? ये दारा सिंह का है क्या? So I said yes. So anyway, harmonium came and blah blah blah, and then we had this one microphone. You know how in those days, this little amp and microphone and speaker. Now I wanted to sing and play the harmonium, but who's gonna? There's no mic. There's no stand.
Yeah.
So I said, oh my God, I need a mic. So Jagdish Singh Saab says, "Arey, koi baat nahi, I'll sit next to you and hold the mic, you sing." I said, wow, that's great. So I sat, and he is sitting right next to me, holding the mic like this. Okay? Now look at me. I start singing. I don't know what I sang. Mehdi Saab ki, I was a big fan of Mehdi and I hadn't met with them. And I'm singing, and suddenly, cut to, I open my eyes, with my eyes closed. And I open my eyes, I see my mother in front. She says, like mouthing, stop it. How long are you going to sing? How long is he going to hold the mic for you?
That is and this is a man who obviously had a lot of love for you because he composed your first album, which is quite remarkable. And if I'm not mistaken, if I haven't done my homework correctly, it was the first time he composed for somebody else.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, what happened was, you know, that what happens is when you've completed 40 years, you have so much to talk about. I don't know whether we have the time, but to cut a long story short, we were trying for HMV to get an entry because HMV was the only company which had a name, and Polydor India in those days, it was a new company and nobody knew about it, and Polydor India contacted me, blah blah blah. To cut a long story short, I said, okay, I'll go and sign the contract. I signed the contract in the office, and then decided, okay, oh God, I've signed the contract. I don't know how to, you know, I have no experience of recording. The first person I called from their office was Mr. Jagdish Singh in Pushpa Milan, where he used to stay. He picked up the phone and said, "Bol, kya karna hai? Kya ho raha hai? Kahan hai tu?" So I said, "I'm in Polydor India's office. I've just signed a contract, and will you compose the album? You know, because I have no experience." So he said, "Acha, aaja mere paas. Come." So I went straight there. We sat down in his flat in the 7th floor. He said, what's the... So I said, nothing, I've just signed, so will you compose? He said, okay, done. So I said, I have one request. You select all the ghazals, but except one which is Kaise Sukoon Paun, which I used to sing. A lot, it was very, you know, in my circle of friends, it was very popular. You know, and the poet was from Hyderabad. I said, please include this ghazal. You sing it in a different tune, you compose your own tune, and the rest you select all the 7 numbers, or whatever. He says, done. And he composed, and we recorded that album in 1979 in Radio Gems, Worli. Zubairi Saab was the recording engineer. I still have the memory. And remember, they used to record on quarter-inch spool.
I started my career at Akashvani, you know, as a cub reporter. And, you know, I remember playing those spools back in the day. And then it became DAT cassettes, a small
Oh yeah,
ones.
that was much later.
For those of you who are listening to this broadcast, at the Royal Opera House on Friday the 14th, the great Talat Aziz is going to be in concert. It's a night of romantic ghazals with Talat Aziz Saab, celebrating 40 years of the legend. Tickets are at insider.in. That's insider.in. So go to www.insider.in, and also at the venue. And he's going to be playing all his wonderful hits over the last 4 decades. Now,
Can I just put
Sure.
in a word
Yeah,
here? I would like to tell all my the fans who are listening to you that it's not just a concert of 40 years. I'm going to do something very special that day, and I will not reveal that. People who come to the concert will know, because it is 40 years is once in a lifetime. So I have some friends seniors, juniors who are going to be there. So there is, apart from my own stuff, which I'm gonna, there's going to be something. I would not like to say anything, but something extraordinary. So whoever is going to be there, you're going to have a treat.
Yeah, and for those of you who think that it's a Tata Theatre kind of venue, which also Talat Aziz has sold out in the past, please remember that there are limited seats, because even if they open up the balcony, it's a smaller venue. It's a beautiful venue, with British era balconies and things like that. Go get your tickets very, very soon. I'm going to come to Umrao Jan simply because I have such fond memories, because my mother grew up in Delhi, and when I was a little boy, in the morning when Umrao Jan released, my mother used to play the cassette every single morning before we left for school. And when I came back, and we used to presume कि माता श्री जो है वो सुबह से लेकर दोपहर तक वही एक सुन रही है, because we came back, which should be still be listening to it. And subsequently, it's so wonderful that Shad, who's Muzaffar Saab's son, is a friend now. And
Really?
often during conversations, he talks about being a little boy and just hanging around when Umrao Jan is being filmed. And this is so fabulous that it was Khayyam Saab, it is your voice, and just your memories of Umrao Jan, and then we'll have you play a little bit of it, please.
Sure. I'll just go a little back. 1978, I had moved to Bombay, and I was singing in a private mehfil in car, and in the audience there was 15 people: Khayyam Saab, Mrs. Khayyam, Jagjit Ji, Mrs. Madan Mohan, and a few very selected guests. And I sang, and then Khayyam Saab met me, and I have the photographs black and white. He said, "Beta, you sing very well." Suraya Ji, the ex-superstar, she was also there with full makeup on and jewelry. And he said, "I will once, if there is when there is a chance, I'm definitely going to record you for a film." I said, "Okay, sir. Thank you very much." 78 finished. I forgot about it. Album releases in 1980, and then I get a call from Khayyam Saab after 6 months. "Ki beta, ek kaam karo, come. There's a song for you. I want to record something." I said, "Wow." He remembered. So I used to, and Khayyam Saab is very famous for rehearsals, because in those days you had to do 15-20 rehearsals before you even went to the studio, because you can't make a mistake over there, because you have a live orchestra playing with you. And Khayyam Saab is a stickler. He's very famous for his safety takes. If you know the industry, Khayyam Saab used to be known for his safety take. It was called safety take. Fine. So I used to go all the way from South Bombay, where I used to stay, to Juhu in his new flat, which he still has. Of course, he's no longer. And I rehearse. I remember in his music room, ye Umrao Jan ki ghazal gata tha main. And he told me, in the original Umrao Jan script, by the way, there was no song for a male.
Obviously, because everything would have been pitched as on Rekha Ji.
Right. So Khayyam Saab, I believe, he told me this. He told Muzaffar Ali Saab, "Bhai, you know what? You have a hero, Farooq Sheikh. Now, why would Umrao Jan, who's a superstar of her time, just fall in love with? I mean, she has so many admirers. So what is that? Which sort of?" So he said, "Give him a ghazal, so that he also writes. So maybe she will be attracted to his writing or something like that." So this is Khayyam Saab's idea. Now I rehearsed a lot, and I still remember Muzaffar Ali Saab used to stand in the doorway, tall man. And I used to come and sit down. Finally, we recorded the ghazal in Mehboob Studios, and I heard myself. Believe you me, Rishi, I swear to God, I'll confess to everybody today. I heard my voice and I said, "Oh my God, I'm bad. I don't know." I got embarrassed. Muzaffar Ali Saab had a party, dinner at Shah's, where Shah lives now, in that bungalow in Juhu. Biryani, ye, wo sab. मैं भाग गया वहाँ से. I ran away. I didn't even listen to the song. And I forgot about it. 1980, when the film released, I don't know, box office initially didn't do that well, I believe. I was touring Kuwait. That was my first tour, Kuwait. And VHS cassettes had come out with the VCRs and blah, 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 blah. And suddenly I find that people were requesting in mehfils in Kuwait, "Oh, sing that Umrao Jan ghazal." I said, "Umrao Jan ghazal?" Yes, we saw the film on. I said, "Where did you see the film?" "We saw it on the video cassette." Oh, wow. That's when I realized that really caught on, and this became a classic. Today, it still is like.
You can't finish a show without it. Yeah.
And whenever I start even just humming it, I get a lot of claps. And as you rightly said, I was singing in Indigo, Mode Indigo here, IIT, a few years back. They have this amphitheater, remember? The students, right? So I performed 3 times.
Concerts there in my
3
time.
times, yeah. So when I started, it was like a rock concert. When I started just, and all those guys started whistles.
And these are millennials. My God.
So you know what I said? I stopped. I said, first of all, let me ask you guys. You were not even born when this was recorded. So how do you relate to this? So you know what they said? Exactly what you said. Sir, we have heard it from our parents, so we love it. I said, that's great.
Can we have a bit of it, sir?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Talat Aziz live and direct on 94.3 Radio 1. Here we go.
जिंदगी जब भी तेरी आवाज़ में लाती है ये ज़मीं चाँद से बेहतर. This जगह ना क़याम साहब made me rehearse it 25 times. ये ज़मीं चाँद से बेहतर नजर आती है सुर्ख फूलों से महक उठती है दिल की दिन ढले यूं तेरी आवाज़ बुलाती है ये ज़मीं चाँद से बेहतर. You want me to sing the whole number? It's going to be
Beautiful.
long.
I mean, I'm just thinking, when you said this, at the time when you were the peak of your prowess, a handsome man that you are, when all these Bollywood guys were calling, and then subsequently you started doing TV series. How did Beena ma'am, your lovely wife, adjust to all the lady admirers? Well, I'm sure she had her own admirers, considering she's such a prolific artist.
You will be surprised. She has had, in fact, sometimes jokingly, I said, you know what? Maybe you made a mistake by marrying me. You would have, you had all these rich people, businessmen who were after her. And I know for a fact, who were like really enamored. Even now, she has younger guys. Wow, Beena ma'am, you're so glamorous. I said, yeah, she is. She maintains herself and God has given her that. But she has been actually the backbone with all. I mean, I'll tell you, we have after so many years, you have these tips and you have this.
Which marriage doesn't? Yeah, which marriage?
No. Tips in the sense it's like creative tips, and we have this little. But then we have one thing which we have survived is whatever tip you have, whatever differences. Once you finish that, when you walk out of the room, just leave it there. Don't go back into it. And that's what she also does, and I also.
Classical musicians and ghazal singers always look back with great nostalgia at their childhood. Jagjit Saab again told me about, I'm sure he must have told you many times about the college incident when he was trying to patao, Chitra ma'am, and then the gundas came and things like that. You remember the first time you met Beena ma'am?
Yes, I do.
How do you court her?
Okay. I'll tell you. You want me to give you the screenplay? Now we have a common friend, Kailash Surendranath. I'm sure you heard. Kailash is Kailash and Aarti, very dear friends. So I used to meet them almost every other day, and we used to hang out at their place in, the old house, Rockside.
That's amazing. They're rock and roll musicians. You're a ghazal singer hanging out.
Yeah, I know.
That's wonderful. Beautiful. Yes.
So one day, Kailash said, "Okay, we are going for dinner to Bandra. I'm going to pick you up." I said, "Okay, fine." I was in Breach Candy then in Oceanic, and Beena was living with her parents 2 buildings away. I didn't know that. So me too. Doshi, the premier guy.
Sure.
So he came driving the car. Kailash was sitting there in the seat next to him, and he picked me up. He said, "We just have to pick up somebody else." So we just went up the road, turned, and then in walked Beena. I remember she was dressed in a purple outfit, which is like a beautiful outfit, and she had short hair, like not short in the sense, just shortcut. And she was very Beena. If you meet her for the first time, you think, "Oh God, she is really reserved." Maybe. So she came and sat right next to me, and then we went to the party, and we didn't speak a word. And I'm trying to strike a conversation, and she was just giving me cryptic replies, and then we in our own world. I said, okay, maybe, she doesn't want to talk. At the party in Bandra, we started making small conversation, and then, there was a series on video cassette in those days, James Clavell's novel Shogun.
Of course, yes.
Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah, Richard Chamberlain, yeah.
So the video libraries in those days had these video cassettes which you hire. So we started talking about. She said, "Oh yeah, I love that." I said, "Wow." So she said, "I have those video cassettes. Would you like them?" I said, "Sure." I didn't know that you stayed right next door, 2 buildings away. Yeah. So that night it finished. We just dropped back, and I came back. And 2 days later, I'm in the shower. My mother knocks on the. There's a girl outside. She's got some cassettes for you. I said, "Who?" That's how she came over and said, blah blah. And then we started meeting. Then we started going out. Then I used to take her for dinner to the Oberoi. There was a Cafe Royal in those days, and we used to go there because we used to get the crepe Suze. It was the best crepe Suze in town.
Wow.
And then we used to go there. It was a beautiful evening, black. I used to love wearing black, go and dance. Now, can you imagine a ghazal singer doing that, right? And then have the crepe Suze, and that's how we called it. And then I used to drop her back. And then, of course, 1983, this was 83, I met her, and then we sort of, we said, okay, we'll go slow, we'll sort of see how it goes. It took us 5 years to get married.
Beautiful. So I remember when Tasavvur, the double cassette had come out. Again, I was a little boy, but my Mamaji, who was living in the north at the time, used to play a lot of it. And again, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first time. It was almost blasphemy in those days for you to shoot a double, VHS of videos, and you did that. Yeah.
Well,
you must have taken a lot of flack, and then also now, subsequently, you've turned out to be the pioneer in that department.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. But let me tell you that these double albums were the norm. After my first album, my second album was a double album, because the music companies tried to start. They wanted to cash in on the So double albums not. But this 87 Tasavvur, there was a producer called Mr. Abbas Hakim. He said, "Can we do a video album? We'll shoot." I said, "How do you do that?" He said, "We'll get a director. We'll create a storyline and string all these, because ghazals are basically about nostalgia, love, romance, breakup, and all that. So we'll do that, and we'll have somebody, a sutradhar, or doing this, and we'll shoot it like a film song." I said, "Okay, no problem. Let's try it." So we shot it in locations like a film song. मैं गा रहा हूँ, क्या वो सुन ली जो खुदा ने, सुन ली जो खुदा ने वो दुआ तुम तो नहीं हो, सुन ली जो खुदा ने वो दुआ तुम तो नहीं हो, दरवाज़े पे दस्तक की सदा तुम तो नहीं हो. We had the flute and romantic music, and I remember the shot. I'm walking past, it's the moonlight, there's flowers, and there's this girl walking towards me. So we shot all that. 8 numbers. And then we released the album, Tasavvur, 1987. And as you said, I got a lot of flack from purists, and I won't take names. Yaar, kya kar rahe ho? What are you doing, man? How can you picturize ghazals? You listen to ghazals, you don't see them on screen. I said, listen, if you don't want to see them, don't see them. Who's asking you to see them? Listen to the cassette. This is an experiment, fine. One day you'll all be doing it, I know that.
And look what happened. The MTV generation was just taking over at that time. Now you can't release anything without a video. So
Today, no, forget about a release anything. If you make a single also, it will not be heard audio unless you have a video of it.
You have to have a video. Yeah, correct.
And a shorter video, of course, for the social media.
And if Bhatt Saab had his way, which is Mahesh Bhatt, you would be a leading man in the movies.
Well,
you
actually,
bit the bullet, you did a film,
yeah,
and then of course all those TV serials and things like that. Yeah. Any regrets, or you followed what is cathartic for you?
No,
which is
what happened was 1989. I was approached by Mr. Bhatt, and he wanted to make a film. It was based on the life of a singer. It's a classic, actually. The original was made in Hollywood. It was called The Jazz Singer. Mm-hmm. Neil Diamond and Sir Laurence Olivier. Father and son love story. Both are singers. One is the old school, traditional, and one wants to go out and whatever. So that was the basic of this. And I said, okay, I'll do it. Sangeeta was signed in, and we started shooting, and we shot the film. It got stuck. Then we really again reshot it. Blah blah blah. To cut a long story short, finally the film was finished, done. Lakshmikant Pyarelal did the music, and by the way, one of the most important things in the music was that was the first time my Guru Mehdi Hasan sang a bhajan with me in a film.
Wow.
Main
That
Atma
is,
Tu
that is
Paramatma.
secularism. That's wonderful. How
Yeah,
beautiful.
and it was written by Bakshi Saab, Main Atma Tu Paramatma. And that was picturized between on Anupam, who's playing my father, Pandit, and I'm sitting there. The film opens with that. बैठे हैं पर एक आश्रम में, and he's sitting with a तानपुरा तबला, and he's doing वो भी ऐसा था. मैं आत्मा तू परमात्मा, मैं तेरा रंग रूप, मैं तेरी छाँव धूप, मैं बिल्कुल तेरे साथ, तू बिल्कुल मेरे साथ, मैं आत्मा.
And this is again very heavily requested in your gigs, isn't it? I mean,
it is. And
the
याद आने वाला है.
the soundtrack went berserk.
Oh, it was
went
like,
nuts, yeah.
oh man, and when we released the soundtrack in 91 through HMV, we had a release party in those days at the Juhu Centaur Hotel. Oh my God, hoardings लगे थे. I got a call from Lakshmi ji. दलत, देखा क्या हो रहा? मैं बोला क्या हो गया लक्ष्मी जी? अरे वो लागी प्रेम धुन लागी जो तुम्हारा गाना है ना, ऋषि जो उनका बेटा कॉलेज में था, उसके सब कॉलेज के फ्रेंड्स गा रहे हैं, नाच रहे हैं यार उस पे. मैं बोला थैंक यू सो मच. अरे तेरे को पता नहीं क्या हो गया, चल चल देखते हैं. That's how. Anyway,
But did you enjoy the acting? I mean, even
I
the
loved
serials.
it. I loved.
yeah,
I loved. No, the serials came much later.
much later. Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. It was an experience. I learned a lot because I was working with Mr. Bhatt, then Anupam, and then Sangeeta. And Anupam, of course, we had some great scenes, father and son. And I remember once, one scene, there was a whole monologue of mine where I go to request him because he has disowned me. And as a singer, I lose everything. I became a star and I lose the whole thing. Then my music company guy comes and says, listen, I'll give you a chance one more, but the problem is your father. Until you get the permission from your father, you will never be what you are. So if you can get your father to the concert which you are we are relaunching you, I will give you that. So then my character goes to the father after so many years, and he's singing the bhajan and he walks away, and then he shuts me out. He closes the door and I get out from here. I disown you. You're no longer my son. And then when he closes the door, there's a whole 2.5 page emotional what I do about, I bang on the door and blah blah blah. So I told Bhatt Sahab, I said, Bhatt Sahab, you know what? This is something which I need to do. If you don't mind, just put a round trolley and just leave it. Just take the whole thing. I will do it in my own whatever, please, if you don't mind. He said, yeah, do, sure. So I got in, and when what happens in acting, I realize is, if you have a good co-star, they give you that vibes, and then it automatically gets that. So when he pushed me away, right on my face, Anupam, chale ja mere samne se, chale ja. And I physically felt it. So when I reacted, and I finished my monologue, whatever, blah 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 blah. There was total silence on the set, and then after 30 seconds, all those tours stage. I mean, I said, wow, that was a good experience. Anyway,
Is Ghazal as a form going through a bit of a modern day crisis? I mean, you look at the greats, Pankaj Das, yourself, Jagjit Saab, Anup Jalota, Mehdi Hasan, Ghulam Ali. In this day and age, is it getting enough importance? It's a question you get asked often, I'm sure. What is your response to
see,
that?
I'll tell you something. As far as the Ghazal is concerned, I consider greats like Begum Akhtar, they call them great, not myself, Mehdi Hasan Ustad, and Jagjit Singh, of course. These are the greats, real legends, Ghulam Ali Saab. And yes, I have come up, and I've learned from my Ustad, which is Mehdi Hasan. And Jagjit Singh was my, in fact, so many times Jagjit Singh, when we used to meet off the record, he used to say, you are not any different from me. We are the same inside as it comes. Jokingly. And but to come back to your question, the Ghazal is still around. I mean, I'm not saying it because recently on the 1st of February in Pune, I did a concert just now.
Full house.
Yes, and that day there was another festival at the same time, 15 minutes away on Kothurud, open to the public, free of charge, by the mayor. And who were performing there? Amjad Ali Khan Sahab, Tawfiq Qureshi, and Hari. Pandit Jasraj ka festival tha. So audience was there, and there was audience here also, and they were sat for 3 hours. So basically, the point here I'm trying to make is that if you give them that authenticity, like if you come to my house and say, I want to have Hyderabadi biryani, and if I palm off something else than Hyderabadi biryani, they'll say, yaar, maza nahi hai. But if I give you the authentic, they will say, wow, I loved it. When can I come again? So that is exactly what I'm not trying to equate food and music, but ghazal, if you can give the authentic ghazal to the audience, they will come for you. Now, the key is that what happens to the next generation? There are very good singers, youngsters who are very talented. All they need is somebody to just guide them. Like we were guided by my gurus, Mehdi Hasan. I actually learned a lot in my journey of 25 years with him. I learned a lot. 30 years actually, sorry, more than that. So it's a journey, but we had the opportunity and the time to sort of absorb and become today what we are. Today it's an instant zamana, it's like we don't have that much time, but still I still feel that there is a amazing amount of talent and they are coming to me for tips, and I do that. And I said, come, I'm open to everybody. You're free to come and take whatever I have, whatever my gurus have given me, I'm ready to give it to you, because you never hold back knowledge. I firmly believe in that. You have to pass it on. And I think in the future you will have. Only thing is the platforms, you don't have platforms like you used to make music albums. So you have original content. That is lacking because the music companies don't invest in new albums. So, I mean, that's something which... But then the youngsters are producing their own singles, releasing them on social media.
And you're also doing that. You're
I'm also
putting it out
doing it.
digitally.
I'm also doing
It's
it.
great. You've adapted to the times. So, is there a concert you ever went to, whether it can be ghazals or otherwise, that you went, wow, what a concert? People go to a Talat Aziz concert and say, wow, have you been in the audience at a great concert? And you look back at it and say, wow, what a gig that was. Your Guruji, Mehdi Hasan Sahab, seeing him live? Yeah.
Of course. I met him in 77 in Toronto. And I was there as a young kid. I remember I was wearing a Quebec t-shirt and jeans. And my father's friend came to me in Toronto in my aunt's house. Said, what are you doing? Chalo, Azim Sahab. He is also Nazim Bhai. I said, where are you taking me? He said, no, just come. Just don't ask. Just sit in the car. So, evening time, we went in the car in Toronto suburb. And there was somebody's house. We went to the basement. And there I saw a gentleman sitting with a lady. Pannan. Sarota hota na?
Supari hota. Yeah, correct.
Pan mana rahe the. Then I saw, oh my God, this is Mehdi Hasan. Oh my God, this is the man I've been crazy about. I've been listening. So I just sat there in the corner. Then anyways, they introduced me and he just looked at me. He had a very imperious look. Mehdi Hasan was one of the artists. I said, if you looked, a lot of people, when they looked at him on stage, he was a king.
Regal.
No, there was something in his eyes. There's something, personality, in his voice. Otherwise, he was a very simple man. So anyway, to cut a long story short, next day he was singing in some private evening. It was not a profession. And I was sitting right in front. First time I listened to him right there. I had only listened to him on cassettes and radio. And I'll tell you something. First, the sa laga na, sur. Yeah. I remember the ghazal. Gulon mein rang bhare, badon bahar chale bhiya ke gulshan ka See that sa, that sur, that is what struck me. I said, yeah, he is just, and a lot of, later on, with some of the greats, they said, you know what, to get one note perfect, it requires years and years of, and if you can get that, then you have that. That is one thing I remember.
How does Talat Aziz pamper himself? It's Valentine's Day that's coming up, and our theme is love yourself. For example, some people go for a spa treatment, some people have a good meal. How do you love yourself? How do you
I love going out to eat with my friends and family. I'm a foodie, so I'll go to the best restaurant and whatever I like, whether it's Indian. And I'm not just fond of Indian food. We make some amazing Indian food at home, and but I love Western. I love Italian. I love authentic Chinese, which is unfortunately today Chinese is not a good word to say. Unfortunately, that's wrong. But I love food and I love a good evening. That's my idea of a good time. Go to a nice restaurant, relax with your friends, have a good meal, and then of course after that have a nice chocolates.
A drive that you've been on that's memorable? Could be in Canada, could be Bombay to Goa, anywhere. Memorable drive.
PCH,
What's PCH?
Pacific Coast Highway.
Oh, okay. PCH.
I live in California, so I know.
Lovely.
When you take that 101, go from LA to Frisco, the PCH, which it's a beautiful scenic drive. You go right on the coast, and it's up and down, up and down. On one side is the Pacific Ocean, other side. So that's a beautiful drive.
The Royal Opera House is where Talat Aziz Saab is going to be celebrating 40 years of the legend. This is 4 decades of an amazing career. A night of romantic ghazal. Spend Valentine's Day there. Tickets are at insider.in. That's insider.in. 14 Feb, 7 p.m. kickoff at the Royal Opera House in Journey Road. Such a wonderful time talking to you. God bless you and see you soon, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.